We're going to move on and finish chapter 1.3, converting measurements. And today's learning goals, you actually for the first time are going to have two. So looking at them, write conversion factors, that is the first thing, and use dimensional analysis to convert English and SI measurements. So just to show you, this is how I'd like you to write it in your notes. Make sure that you've got down 2 stars. Write conversion factors and the use dimensional analysis. So we already know how to convert within the metric system, and it's very, very simple. All you got to do is move that decimal around depending on which prefix you're going from and to. Well, when we put English system into the mix, it's going to get a little funky, because what we've got to use is something called dimensional analysis. In order to use dimensional analysis, you need to use something called a conversion factor. What this allows you to do is take one system of measurement and convert it into the other system of measurement. So look at the example on the side. You've got a girl whose height up to her shoulder length is about 4.5 feet, which is the same height as the ski directly next to her. What we want to figure out is how many centimeters is 4.5 feet. This is called dimensional analysis, converting from 4.5 feet into centimeters. So what we need is a conversion factor. We need to multiply 4.5 feet by something, this conversion factor, to figure out what the length of that ski is in centimeters. Our girl to her shoulder is 4.5 feet. The ski is the same height. We want to use dimensional analysis to determine how many centimeters are in 4.5 feet. So like I said before, you're going to need a conversion factor to figure out exactly what that is. And that conversion factor is this. For every 30.48 centimeters, you have 1 foot. Now, you're never going to be expected to memorize a weird, crazy number like this. They'll always be given to you. There are going to be a couple of numbers that I am going to expect you to memorize because they're very important and used frequently in this class and in the future in your other science classes, but this is not one of them. Whenever I give you a dimensional analysis problem, you're typically almost always going to be given the conversion factor. So, how do we do this? Well, we start off by saying 4.5 feet. And we want to know, again, how many centimeters are in there. So like I said before, you multiply this by the conversion factor times 30.48 centimeters over 1 foot. Now what you're allowed to do, what this does mathematically, is when you have a multiplication next to a fraction, this number, because it's a whole number, it's not a fraction, you want to imagine think there's an imaginary 1 underneath it, divided by 1. That's what it makes it right there. So when you're multiplying these together, what you're really doing is you're multiplying the top layers and the bottom layers, okay? And when you have something on the top that's the same as on the bottom, it cancels out. So notice how there's a foot unit up top and down here on the bottom. Those cancel. What are you left with? Centimeters, and those are the units you're looking for. So multiply the tops, 4.5 times 30.48. I've already done this. It is 137. The units from the top carry over, centimeters. Multiply the bottoms, 1 times 1, that's just 1. So this would be over 1, but we can ignore that. So there's your answer, 137 centimeters in 4.5 feet. Let's try another example. How many millimeters are in 2.50 inches? Again, I'm going to give you a conversion factor. But this time, what I'm going to do is say, I don't know the exact conversion from inches to millimeters. But I do know one, how many centimeters are in an inch. So 2.50 inches times how many centimeters are in 1 inch. There's actually 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. This right here is one of the first numbers you should know. This is a conversion factor you should know by heart. There's 2.54 centimeters per inch. I'm going to hold you guys to that one. Okay, we can do this. Again, remember, we're imagining that there's this over 1. So it's the tops minus the bottoms. We have an inch on top and an inch on bottom, so they go away. This becomes 2.50 times 2.54. That is going to be 6.35 centimeters, because the centimeters can't carry over. That's what you're left with. And the ones just are underneath, and we can ignore them. So we have our answer. Oh wait, or do we? We want it in millimeters. So because we want this in millimeters, we have to do the King Henry really quickly. Okay? King Henry died, which is Deca, I'm going to use DA, blank, drinking chocolate milk. We're going from centi to milli. That's one step to the right, one step to the right. Our answer becomes 63.5 millimeters. Wasn't that easier than this whole step right here? That's why we use the metric system. All right, one last example. How many kilograms are in 525 pounds? All right, well, let's see. We're going to start by saying 525 pounds times how many kilograms are there in 1 pound? We have the pound down low because we're going to want to cancel it away. And interestingly, there's actually 2.2 pounds per every 1 kilogram. Now I've suddenly put a number on the bottom. That's different. That's not what we're doing. Can I still do this? Yeah, it's still going to work out mathematically, and you'll see. So again, let's think about this. This is over 1. We have the same units on the top and the bottom, so the pounds go away. You're left with kilograms, which is what you want. So this is going to be, let's multiply the top, 525 times 1, that's just 525. There's kilograms, we'll just carry those over for now. The bottom is 1 times 2.2, so 2.2, the pounds are gone. So what you have to do here is 525 divided by 2.2. And that's going to give you 238.6 kilograms. Let's write that up here for good measure. So sometimes you're going to see problems where the conversion factor is flipped. That's okay. It still works mathematically. You just end up doing division in the end. Now we're going to practice this in class using what are known as conversion chains as well, where we're going to do a bunch of them back to back to back. It's not going to be that hard. You guys will get it pretty quickly. And that is how you use dimensional analysis to convert within the English system and from English to SI.